everyone.
Hey, Klaus. Good morning.
Hey.
I think we'll be joined by Kat from URX, who's going to kick it off.
Great. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Thank you. It says 3 out of 10 folks. Good morning, everybody.
I think it says there's 23 people watching right now.
Cool.
Let me quit Slack for a minute so nobody has to see my...
While folks are hopping on, do we want to quick test the video?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you hear sound? Oop.
In 1989.
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Yay, success. The only thing that would make this platform great is if they have the virtual background feature, so I can also have my like Roblox backdrop.
My laptop is actually does not have a strong enough video card to run the virtual background,
No.
which is ironic given that I'm an engineer at Roblox, but
we do what we can.
we do what we can, yeah. Right now, the burden of switching to a new laptop seems dramatically higher than the burden of people having to see my messy room behind me.
Just bring in your little ones and you're good in the background.
There's a non-zero chance that we will get interrupted by half-clothed children at some point.
Awesome. Hey, Shar, how's it going?
It's going good. Hi. Hey, Klaus. I'm Shar.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We had a bit of technical difficulties on the back end for URX, but looks like you guys are good to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, awesome. Everybody who's joining, we're super excited to be hosting this session with Roblox. Really glad that you're all here. Just a reminder, we do have a poll question up, so definitely visit that tab and answer the poll question for both Jeannie and Klaus. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Jeannie to go ahead and intro the team, and then I'm going to hop off, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shar. Really
Bye.
appreciate it. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in. Huge shout out to the URX team for putting this together. With everything happening in the world right now, Roblox is really excited to participate in this year's talent development program and spend some time with you all this summer. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Before we get started, Shar had mentioned we posted a really exciting poll. Would love to hear from you all who we have in the audience. So if you are or are not familiar with Roblox, let us know. You're going to learn a lot today. And really excited to be here. So with that, our team today is going to share with you about our company, what we do, and the things we're building at Roblox. So to introduce myself, my name is Jeannie. I've seen some of you earlier this summer when we did the first kickoff. I've been with University Recruiting at Roblox since 2018, and we are also accompanied by a wonderful champion of the Roblox team. Klaus, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Klaus. I'm a vice president of engineering at Roblox. I've been with the company for it'll be 4 years next month. Just a little bit of personal background. Prior to Roblox, I was the CEO of my own startup for 7 years. Doing all the fun startup things like building products from scratch and fundraising, all that kind of stuff. Before that, I was a PhD student in atmospheric chemistry at the University of Wisconsin. So I've never really had a real job. Like Roblox and my own startup are pretty much the only experience I have, but somehow it seems to be working.
Awesome. So do we want to hit the next slide? I can talk a little bit about our mission. So at Roblox, our mission is to bring the world together through play. And we believe that play is essential, not just for children, but for everyone, really. And especially during this season of COVID-19 and shelter in place, Roblox has increasingly become a lifeline for folks to connect and play in these virtual worlds. So at Roblox, we're creating a human co-experience platform where people can not only play games and connect with their friends, but they're also able to use the platform to make games out of their own imagination and even monetize from their games. So we have over 3 million 3D experiences on our platform, all created by our global community of developers. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Klaus, who will lead us in today's Tech Talk.
All right. Cool. So to kick things off, our sort of public relations team has this video that we use that probably does a better job than I can of explaining like what Roblox is and where it's coming from and where it's going in the future. So we figured we'd just start off by playing through this. So hopefully this works.
The story of Roblox begins in 1989 with this simple block. We programmed a 2D simulated physics lab called Interactive Physics, which would later go on to influence our approach to building the groundwork for Roblox. Students across the world used interactive physics to see how 2 cars would crash or build destructible houses. It was astonishing to see what these kids and teens were designing, and I wanted to replicate that capability on a much grander scale. So with my co-founder Eric, we began building the core components that would become the basis for our imagination platform. Roblox quickly began bringing the world together through the power of play, harnessing players and creators of different ages and backgrounds from all around the world, connected by shared experiences. From China to Brazil to America, the world began to create as one. Friendships were built, and a new form of entertainment was born. The Roblox world is growing faster than ever before. Creators are creating new genres, deeper narratives, and more diverse experiences that are opening up entertainment paths into worlds of play never thought possible. We're enabling the creation of more human forms that allow for greater self-expression, unleashing the limits of the imagination to enable anyone to be who they want to be. We're building a platform for a new generation, one that enables people to create and share experiences through play. Together, we are the architects of play.
All right. So that was our founder and CEO, Dave Baszucki. And here's the deal. Like, the best way to think about Roblox is we're like YouTube, but instead of videos, we're a platform for 3D multiplayer online gaming experiences. That means you can divide everything we do into 2 big buckets. One bucket is tools and services that help anybody, including my 7-year-old son, but also including like studios of up to 20 people, build amazing 3D multiplayer online video games. The other bucket is apps and websites that let random people from the internet come and play those games with their friends, right? So on the one hand, it's like literally the entire tool chain for 3D experience creation, hosting and monetization and advertising and publishing. And on the other hand, it's Facebook plus Discord plus Steam smushed into a single product and wrapped around that content catalog and hosting hundreds of millions of monthly active players. So what that also means is that Roblox is known across most of the world as a game, but guess what? Just like YouTube doesn't make videos, Roblox doesn't make games. We rely on this community of millions of users to make 100% of the content that's on our platform, and we succeed when they succeed. 100% of the platform dynamics and retention are due to the creativity and the awesome works that our community publishes on the platform that we build. So a couple stats about that creator community. Last year, 2019, they earned about $110 million from Roblox. Without giving too much away, that number will increase dramatically this year. There are over 2 million developers on Roblox. That means at least once a month, somebody who logs on and is actively creating an experience. Of those, 35,000 are actually earning money from their games by selling digital assets or subscriptions or something like that in the game that they build. And we have 315,000 creators who are actively publishing at least one game. I believe this is every week. So just a huge, massive community of people creating 3D multiplayer online experiences. And the result of that is our player engagement. So again, we don't make the games. That previous slide, all of those people do. And that's what attracts people onto our platform. As you can see on this chart, this starts in 2011 and shows monthly engagement hours on the platform through March of this year. I can say that this slide cuts off right at the beginning of COVID. And we are one of, it bears a heavy weight on us, but we're one of the companies that is in the very small percentage of companies whose business has absolutely thrived as a result of the increased amount of access and time that our core demographic has as a result of like schools being closed, but the internet's still working. And so this chart, if it continued through the last few months, would show even dramatically more accelerated growth. So what all of this means is that we can really line up Roblox against any entertainment or gaming platform in the world. We have over 16 games on the platform that have been played over 1 billion times. We have our top games on the platform each retain at least 10 million monthly active users. And we have over 5,000 games that have been played at least 1 million times. If you stack these statistics up against any other gaming platform, whether it's a console like Xbox or even a PC game store like Steam, we're actually outpacing them in terms of the level of engagement and plays and time spent on our platform. Really, the only things that directly compete with us are video streaming platforms like YouTube and I guess TikTok nowadays. Stuff that has more interstitial but direct streaming consumption. And that's really what our patterns start to look like as a result of being a user-generated content platform. A little bit more about the platform, just to give you guys some context for the tech part of the talk. Our device breakdown, about over 50% of our users are on mobile, 5% are on console, and the remainder play on some sort of desktop device, whether it's Mac or PC. 59% of our audience is under 13. That means 41% is over, which surprises a lot of people and is something that we're seeing accelerating. We'll get more to that in a second. Also very surprising for the gaming industry, 40% of our users identify as female. That's a outlier in the industry to have a gender balanced gaming platform. Obviously not perfectly gender balanced, and we know we still have more work to do there, but we're actually very proud of this. And then finally, we're not just a US platform, we're not just an English speaking platform. South Korea is one of our fastest growing markets, and the platform is truly global at this point. There's never a point when we don't have millions of people online over the course of a 24-hour period, showing that basically all time zones are playing Roblox at this point. So why are we growing like this? And again, this is sort of the last slide to set the context for the tech part of the talk, which is like, how do we do this? But I think it's important, the how is directly influenced by what makes Roblox successful. You have to sort of understand the dynamics of our market before you understand the product that we've built to fit that market. Roblox has two network effects that drive our growth. The first we've sort of already talked about, which is we have this platform with players, and we have a set of tools that let anybody create games. And that creates this really dynamic feedback loop where, a player comes onto the platform, has fun playing through one of our top games or whatever, and then they discover that, oh, wow, I can actually make something on this platform. And they dive into Roblox Studio and they start, at first experimenting with just like moving blocks around or like changing the map or whatever. But after a little bit, they start learning how to code and writing Lua scripts and uploading their own assets and like actually making games. And those games get better, and they want to show them off, and they go tell their friends at school or whatever, hey, check out this thing I built. Do you think it's cool? And that acquires new players onto the platform. And some of those players then discover the creator tools and they start making their own stuff. And it's this symbiotic loop where more players leads to more developers, leads to more creation, acquires more players without us really having to do anything. The other side of our network effect diagram here is the social network. And this is like really traditional in Silicon Valley, right? Like we have a fully fledged social network with full communication, full co-experience, meaning like it's really, really easy for you to go to your friend and be like, hey, let's go play this game together, and for you guys to get the exact same server and share an online experience. And so that, is a very viral loop where like maybe I'm already a Roblox player, but my friend isn't. I say, hey, you want to go play Roblox together? And he goes, sure, downloads it onto his device. We've acquired a new user. And he goes and then does that to all of his friends. So these two things working in tandem is what has led to sort of like Roblox's fantastic growth over the last 5 years, and really differentiates us from pretty much any other platform in this space. There's not other platforms that have both of these operating, and certainly not in a way that's accessible to our target age demographic right now, which is 9 to 13 or 9 to 14 year olds. And so it really makes us unique. Okay, so here's the tech part of the talk. That's Roblox. The rest of this is sort of like how are we doing this? And from my perspective, this centers on a whole bunch of things we're doing across the company. But one of the most interesting things to talk about is the actual Roblox game engine. So there are a lot of game engines out there. Well, not a lot, but there's several, and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. If you're in this space, you've probably heard of Unreal and Unity, maybe Cryo Engine, or now Lumberyard from Amazon. There's a bunch of hobbyist game engines. There's a bunch of people who built their own game engine because that's fun and cool. I totally condone that if you want to give it a shot. Roblox's game engine is very unique. It is not like the others, and let's find out why. So as Dave mentioned in that intro video, Roblox was founded to power these immersive online 3D social experiences. And let's remember that Roblox was founded like 14 years ago, when online and 3D and multiplayer, like choose any one or two, but you can't have all three. This has been Roblox's vision since day one, is like people doing things in 3D environments with their friends in real time. And we've always had that as our target application from the very beginning of our work in this space. That's not true of the foundational technologies and other game engines that are on the market today. Our goal with the game engine is to power those experiences with immersive 3D rendering from photorealistic to stylized. Basically, let the developer choose any style they want. Oftentimes people ask us like, hey, isn't Roblox just kind of like Minecraft, but weirder? and the answer is like, really no. Minecraft is a game with a style, and where the creators cannot fully script and modify and fulfill their creative vision. They are, if you're a creator on Minecraft, you're really just like modding what's already there, or in the far more often case, you're just changing the map, the physical setting. You're not actually influencing the code that powers the gameplay or the style of the game. Roblox is a full-fledged game engine with 100% of the game creation tools that you would find in any professional productivity tool in this space. So you have a full scripting sandbox, and you have the ability to customize, to upload whatever meshes you want, as long as they meet our content standards for the platform in terms of user safety, and to incorporate those into your game. So you can make anything from a futuristic first-person shooter to a 8-bit looking sandbox game, and that's 100% up to you as the developer. And then finally, really important, because I mentioned the social loop in sort of the foundation of why Roblox is growing. That only works if it's super easy to explore and hop into and out of all of these experiences. So we call this metaverse exploration. And what we mean by that is, if Jeannie and I want to play Roblox together, we both open the app or go to the website, and I can be like, hey, let's play Jailbreak, one of our top games. And I can press the play button and I can be in that game server in like 3 seconds, playing the game. And then Jeannie can join me and we can play Jailbreak together. And then maybe Jeannie's like, you know what? I'd really rather play Adopt Me, or another one of our top games. And she and I can switch to Adopt Me in 3 seconds. And so we can sort of have these ephemeral gaming experiences where we move into and out of these various games with almost no friction whatsoever. So why is that interesting? At first blush, like, okay, yeah, whatever, Klaus. That's just like, we can watch YouTube videos together and we can just like go to the next YouTube. It's very different than any other gaming platform, right? If I want to play Battlefront on my PS4 and I've never played it before, first of all, I have to buy the game, but set that aside for a second. Then I have to wait like an hour to download gigabytes of triangles. And so if Jeannie's like, yo, let's play Battlefront, or let's play Fortnite, or let's play X, I don't have this ephemeral move in, move out gaming experience. And I don't have the ability to explore the quote unquote metaverse in the same way that I do on Roblox. And then finally, we'll get more to this in a second when we start diving into the specific differences. And I'm actually like giving away some of the leads, because I was hoping to like introduce the game engine and then talk about how it's different from the other game engines. And I'm really just going into it now because I'm so excited about it. So I apologize if I'm ruining my narrative. But the other big one here is Roblox is built on first principles. So that means we have elegant world model that sort of makes creation a lot super, super easy, but also encourages emergent behavior. Let me come back to this in a second, because I've got some other slides that explain exactly what I mean. Okay, so I already mentioned some of this, but like the big chunk of this talk is like, how is the Roblox game engine different than everything else that's out there? So the first big thing that differentiates us from Epic and Unity and everything else that's sort of in this space is our approach to optimizing the performance of our game engine is very different than those other tools. Epic and Unity are primarily, though not exclusively, dedicated at servicing AAA gaming studios. AAA gaming studios work from the perspective of, we have a specific vision that we want to fulfill in terms of graphical fidelity, in terms of number of triangles, in terms of how cool our place looks. Hey, Unity, please let us build that, and then let's get performance as good as it can be. So on, somebody who has like a super powered PC, maybe they're running at like, 120 frames per second in VR and everything's great, but like, the thing might choke on your iPhone 6. Roblox is pretty much the exact opposite of this. We say we want from day one to have a bare minimum, not even a bare minimum, a fully satisfactory performance on all devices that we support. And then we are going to build elegant systems that allow us to reach as much graphical fidelity as we can. And we want to make gameplay equivalent across all of those devices with whatever graphical fidelity is available to us. So this is true both in present day across all of the different devices that we support, but it's also been true over the history of our game engine development. So if I showed you a chart of average frame rate across all active clients for Roblox over the last 8 years, our average frame rate would be somewhere between 45 and 60 frames per second 8 years ago, and it would still be there today. So we fixed our performance at a specific target, which is 60 frames per second on all devices that we support. And then we constantly are changing the graphical fidelity systems and the way in which we optimize network connections and stuff like that in order to reach the highest level of graphical fidelity we can with that innate performance baked in. And this is the polar opposite approach from most other game engines, where you're trying to enable a very specific experience or a set of experiences from your customers where they have much more artistic goals in terms of the type of games that they're trying to produce as a very large, highly funded studio. So just to show you this, in 2006, this is what a world looked like. You can tell, very low graphical fidelity, but guess what? It ran at 60 frames per second. Well, maybe not quite 60, but really close. But as you can see, like, I don't know, there's like maybe a couple hundred triangles on the screen. In 2016, still running at that level of performance, we have this. And then in 2019, this is a live game on the platform. All of these ran at the same frame rate on whatever devices were able to play Roblox at the time. So in 2012, it was like, somebody's PC. In 2016, this is like an iPhone 4S. And then 2019, this screenshot could have been taken from an iPhone 6, an iPhone 5, which we still support. And that's a pretty radical departure from the approach of other games. It's also worth noting that in addition to like frame rate and real-time performance, loading into each of these experiences took about the same amount of time. So loading into this experience in 2006 probably took less than 10 seconds. Loading into this experience in 2016 took less than 10 seconds. And this in 2019 similarly takes 3 or 4 seconds without having to download any of the geometry that's being rendered by the game engine in real time. It's all coming down from the server at the point of game join. We also have, again, going back to what I said earlier, none of the graphical style here is baked in. So we can serve experiences with any, whatever creative vision the developer wants. That's one of the benefits of this platform, is we don't have to bake in any of the graphical rendering properties to the client. It all comes from the game server in real time at game join. So it lets our creators build whatever style, whatever geometry, whatever it is they want that's within the bounds of our game engine. So number 2 is similar but slightly different. So we've already talked about cross-platform performance, super important. But Roblox takes that to a crazy extreme. And our promise that we make to Roblox game developers is that you can build your game once with a single API that you interact with in our scripting environment. And your game will work everywhere. And everywhere for us is everything from an iPhone, again, like an iPhone 6, to an iPhone XS Max Jumbo Super Modern, whatever the heck this thing's called now. iPhone 11, I guess, to an Xbox, to a Mac, to whatever Android device, whether it's low end or high end. We basically support everything. This is radically different than other game engines in the space. Other game engines probably definitely at this point provide cross-platform support, but they don't provide an equivalent API that means you as a developer don't have to think about it, right? So this is because most other game engines are targeted at studios with hundreds of staff, and you can have the iPhone team and the Android team building custom UIs and custom camera properties and custom control schemes and whatever to optimize for each individual platform. Most Roblox games are built by, a 17-year-old in Iowa or Tel Aviv or South Africa, or they're built by 4 17-year-olds. And they don't, it is a waste of their time to be thinking about customizing UI schemes or camera controls for each individual platform that we support. We want them thinking about, how do I build amazing gameplay features that retain users and make me successful, right? So again, very different in approach from any of the other game engines in the space, in that it's not just cross-platform compatible, it's cross-platform by default. And developers actually have to work hard to customize things if they really want to for any of the individual platforms that we support. So finally, I mentioned this in the initial game engine intro section, and I could talk about this for an hour, but I think it's really, really interesting, and is probably the single biggest and most meaningful difference between the way Roblox's game engine is built and our developer tools are built versus other platforms in this space. Roblox has programmed in intuitive, real-time simulated physics into everything we do. Everyone's like, yeah. There's physics in all game engines. You kind of need it. No. We take this to like an irrational extreme. Everything that you see in the world by default is physically simulated. So if you see a block, if you go into Studio and you just place a block somewhere in the air and you press play, that block falls to the ground. If you build a car in Studio and you press play and you crash it into a wall, the wall falls down, the car breaks. Why is this so amazing? Well, it turns out this makes building game experiences orders upon orders of magnitude more efficient. So this is a screenshot from Adopt Me. This is also an old slide. Adopt Me a few weekends ago had dramatically over 1 million concurrent players on the platform at the same time. It would have been the most popular game on Steam if it was independently hosted. That's crazy. Adopt Me is built by a team of 4. The top game on Steam at the time was Dota, which is built by a studio of about 200 people. The reason a team of 4 can directly compete with a team of 200 is because they don't have to worry about programming gravity so a block falls. They don't have to worry when they create in Adopt Me. You can have pets. My kid is obsessed with this like flying dragon that he has. they don't have to program what happens, whether or not that dragon can fit through a door in a building. It just, like, if it's bigger than the door, it doesn't go. And if it's smaller than the door, it does. The default makes building, the vast majority of gameplay experiences are going to want physics to work pretty much the way physics works in the real world. And it's way easier, if you don't want it to work that way, to custom tune the property that you want to differentiate as a key element of your gameplay. Like, oh, the dragon flies, and like there are no dragons that fly in the real world. Okay, that's a super easy change to make for that one asset. But you don't want to have to, as a result of wanting that one asset to change, forcefully program custom properties into everything in the world. You don't want to start from scratch. You want to start from reality. And this is a dramatically different approach from what every other game engine starts with. When you open a new place in any of the other game creation tools that are out there, you are starting from scratch. It's not modify this thing to match your vision. It's create every single thing in your universe. You're like God on day zero. Like, you have to first create the world, then create all the stuff in it, then create all the animals. Like Roblox, you can start with the world that already exists and then focus only on the things that differentiate the experience that you're building. And this is just dramatically different. And the results speak for themselves. Like we said earlier, the number of experiences with 1 billion plays, the number of experiences with 100,000 concurrents, total number of games on the platform, 86 million games being published on our platform. Like, that's just kind of asinine. And the reason we can do it is because my 7-year-old can build something on Roblox just by opening Studio and moving blocks around. And those blocks do exactly what he expects them to do. But then he can keep working on it for the next 10 years of his life. And, 10 years from now, he could have millions of concurrent players in that game, and he could be earning a living and paying his way through college with the revenue that he earns. It's that key difference that makes building and creating on Roblox so dramatically different from any other creation tool in the industry. So that's all the content I had prepared. It looks like we still have a pretty good amount of time for question and answer. Jeannie, do we just do this from the chat?
Yeah, so there's a couple of questions that came in, and then if folks have more, please feel free to chime in. So one of the questions was related to, from Zhengming Wang, does Roblox aim for easier barrier of entry for development to inspire more game devs, or a higher barrier of entry to quality control the games?
So that's a fantastic question. And the answer is really what I was just talking about, which is our goal is to create an incredibly low barrier to building your first thing. Again, like my son is 7 today. He published his first place on Roblox when he was 5. So like the minute he could read the word publish, he was able to publish it, right? But like he and his friends could actually join and run around. That's about as low as a barrier to entry for game creation. Like, it's about as low as the barrier can get. The unique part of this strategy is that there's no benefit to raising the barrier to entry. What you want to focus on is customizability and the ability to fulfill creative vision. So if you look at a game like Fortnite or Battlefront or GTA or whatever, you can basically do everything that those games are doing in a Roblox game as a developer. You have the ability to customize every single property. You can make it so that block doesn't fall when you press the play button, so that gravity doesn't exist. Like, that's totally within your control. You can upload custom meshes with millions of triangles. You can do whatever you want. It's just a question of how long you want to invest in it. And again, the practice on Roblox is modifying defaults that have already been provided for you, as opposed to every other gaming platform where you have to create everything from scratch. So it's not at the like pro level where we Adopt Me earning millions of dollars a month. One of the most popular games, frankly, in the world, even if it was just independently hosted off the Roblox platform. It's a question of not limiting their creative expression, just making it as dramatically easy to accomplish as we possibly can.
Klaus, earlier in your presentation, I think one thing that was really exciting to hear about was how Adopt Me hit over 1 million concurrent, and they only have 4 people powering that team. Like, I think something that folks don't realize is the immense impact that you have and how powerful a tool Roblox is for creativity, innovation. It's super exciting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, it's really a very unique platform. There are not many places that you can go and work in the world today where a line of code that you write is going to immediately impact, 100+ million monthly active users, and where simultaneous to that direct impact, your breadth is going to be as wide as it is at Roblox. So we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but like the total product scope for Roblox, I think is, for a company of our size, is dramatically larger than anything else I've ever seen, right? So on the developer facing side, we have individual teams that own every single thing a person needs to script, model, build, test, host, publish, advertise, and monetize a 3D multiplayer online video game. Like, we provide all of that, and we provide all of that for free to our developers. On the player-facing side, it's Facebook plus Discord plus Steam. Now, every single thing I just mentioned is a company of at least 500, if not 15,000 people somewhere else in Silicon Valley. And Roblox today is accomplishing this with an engineering staff of about 490. As an individual on a Roblox team, your scope is dramatically more broad, just sort of like by definition, like divide that scope by 490 and you get a larger number than at any other company. And at the same time, when you press the pull request button and your change list gets incorporated into a build and shipped out to the world, it's immediately impacting hundreds of millions of monthly active users. And I don't think there's any other company in the world that gives that type of opportunity today.
Wow, that's incredible. We had another question from Alyssa Uslender. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I think this is a really great one in thinking about kind of where we're headed, next steps. Where do you think the future of gaming is going? And do you think certain platforms like mobile are on the rise?
Yeah, that's a great question. So without a question, mobile is going to be the dominant platform for the foreseeable future in terms of player engagement. So like if you divide the number of hours that people are playing games by the devices, mobile will dominate. In terms of where gaming is going, though, I think the answer is everywhere. I wonder how many people have seen the movie Ready Player One, because this is really like probably the most concise statement of like Roblox's vision of where the world is going in terms of gaming and entertainment and media. Like the answer is like you, under all circumstances, everywhere, will be able to have a device with you that ranges in its immersivity from a relatively small 2D screen to some sort of immersive VR, AR device that actually changes your sense of the reality around you. And when you want social connection and when you want engagement and when you want entertainment, you are going to jump into that thing. And so it'll be mobile, but there will also be a day when VR is like a real thing. I mean, some argue it's here now, not quite yet, in my opinion. it will continually invade every aspect of people's lives. And I don't mean invade in a negative or pejorative sense. I mean invade as in like permeate everything that we're doing. And I think we're already seeing that. We're seeing that with 2D media platforms like TikTok and YouTube and social networks, but increasingly we're seeing in the gaming space.
Awesome. I can +1 to what you mentioned about these virtual worlds and being able to connect. One great example, over the weekend, I played online with my little cousins who I haven't seen in months, just given shelter in place. And it was just so wonderful to be able to, talk and interact, even though physically, we don't have that proximity. So super, super exciting future ahead. And you mentioned VR. So we did have a question from Alston Fohas. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. UC San Diego, go Tritons. What are your thoughts, Klaus, on the future of VR and AR gaming, and how does it tie with Roblox?
Okay, so VR is super cool, and I'll note that Roblox currently supports both Oculus and HTC VR headsets if you attach them to a PC. We're not on Oculus Quest, and here's our thoughts on this. Like, VR is and AR is super cool. VR specifically is one of the best ways to consume specific types of 3D content. It is also very far from mainstream right now. It's cost prohibitive, but getting better. But probably more importantly, it's actually not that intuitive for users. And it's not all that comfortable for the vast majority of users. I know several people in our office that I can't demo VR features to because they will just immediately puke when they put on the VR headset, and we get tired of cleaning our carpets. So there are some sort of really hard barriers to cross to make VR truly go mainstream. Like I said, Roblox supports Oculus and Vive, and we had a big effort internally to make sure that we could do all of the technical things that are necessary to fully support VR platforms, rendering to multiple buffers simultaneously, VR control schemes that made UGC content navigations not puke-worthy for most people, which is a really tricky challenge. But we just don't see the player base materializing to the point where it makes sense for us to go through the effort of assembling an additional binary, an additional commerce API, and all the other stuff that would be necessary to support anything that's come along from the Daydream App Store to Oculus Quest App Store. The effort of supporting one-off builds for VR is not supported by the size of the market yet. It will get there, and I think, as people have been discussing for the last 20 years, there's a big question as to whether it'll get there next year or 20 years from now. And I guess the way I would put it is Roblox is ready, and we will aggressively pursue direct VR title launch for our platform when the minute it's justified by the impact it would have on our player base. There's one other really interesting question that just came in. Where was it? No, I lost it.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Is it the trust and safety question?
Yeah. Would you mind reading that out loud?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nadia, for writing this. And trust and safety is actually a really important priority for us at Roblox. So the question is, how do you resolve trust and safety concerns for younger users using an engineering design approach?
Awesome. Yeah, this is a great question. So, the Roblox's number one goal is to be the safest place to play online. And we fundamentally believe that is that accurately describes our platform today. key aspects of what I just said is safest, so better than anything else that's out there, but also online. And as we all know, like, the internet is inherently dangerous. So this is a constant cat and mouse game. And as with any online platform, it is an impossibility to guarantee absolute safety. And if somebody tries hard enough, they will be able to find some sort of content that does not comply with our platform standards. And our goal is to minimize the exposure of that, take it down, prevent it from going up, et cetera, at all times in every way possible, and really at pretty much any expense. So the interesting thing about this space is that there are a bunch of different strategies that you can employ to reach that goal. There's preemptive moderation of content. So every single asset that is uploaded to our platform, every single 2D image, every single video file, every single audio file, every single 3D mesh is reviewed both by AI, sort of computer vision systems, and by a human moderator to determine whether to make sure that that asset complies with content standards. But of course, as we've discussed, we also provide an online scripting and modeling platform, and it's trivial to assemble inappropriate 3D geometry out of bricks. In fact, it's one of the first things most teenagers try the second they get their hands on our tools. And so there's also reactive elements to this, trying to detect in real time, both with humans and systems, when the thing that a user is consuming does not comply with our content standards, and then making sure that we take that asset, whether it's a game or a model or user avatar, et cetera, make sure that other users don't get exposed to it. So the things to note here, again, there's no guarantee of absolute safety. There's no absolute safety on YouTube. There's no absolute safety in the real world. Our goal, and we think we accomplish this, is to build the absolute best systems to mitigate that risk and to make this the safest platform for anybody to play online.
Awesome. And then we have a question from Brandon Wen, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, who sounds like a Roblox fan. Does Roblox ever plan on hosting the Bloxy Awards in person? Maybe you can talk a little bit too about the Bloxy Awards also, Klaus.
Yeah, so the Bloxy Awards are our annual, sort of think of it as Oscars for Roblox games. And we've held these every year for, forever at this point. The answer is we do not plan to host the Bloxy Awards in person. That actually seems boring. Every other award show in the world is just like in a theater, not to mention the impacts of COVID. Big theaters may be a bad idea, but the much more Roblox way of doing this is to host them in the metaverse. So you don't go to the Bloxy Awards as a human who flies to LA or whatever and walks into a theater. You go to the Bloxy Awards by booting up Roblox on your device and walking into a theater as your avatar. It will be an immersive 3D experience this year for really the first time. I mean, we've been building in this direction, but we finally have some of the fundamental tech, like video streaming within our game engine and game server sizes that can now host hundreds of concurrent players, that really allow us to do this in an authentic way. And we're super excited for this summer's, it'll be next year's Bloxy Awards, next winter's Bloxy Awards, because they're going to be the first, I think, like truly metaverse award ceremony that's happened, which is pretty cool.
Roblox on Roblox on Roblox. It's very meta. With that, why don't we talk a little bit about our recruiting opportunities? Do you mind hitting the next slide, Klaus?
Oh, sure.
Oh, perfect.
So,
go ahead.
So let me say just real quick, there's basically, I hire a ton of people. My organization is about 120 people right now. We've probably hired 65 people in the last calendar year in my org alone. My perspective on this is that new college grads are actually our single best source of what I will call company changing talent. Both because you haven't learned bad habits yet, and we get to make you exactly what we want. No, I'm kidding. But no, because it's where you find the absolute best people. It's a fundamental truth that if you are an awesome employee, other companies are going to try to keep you. And so the vast majority of awesome employees are not on the market. So if we're going out to hire a senior software engineer, like in a really like sort of depressing way, the way to think about it is like something's wrong with them that they're not already happy working somewhere else. Now that's like not entirely true, and there's upward advancement, all that kind of stuff, but like you don't have that issue in new college grads and interns. And so our new college grad and intern programs are literally the most important recruiting function that I think we have at the company. And with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks for that, Klaus. So in case you can't already tell, we are really, really passionate about our early career professionals, whether you are a new grad or an intern. I started with Roblox in 2017, so we're growing really fast. It's a super exciting time. I know it's really rough out there, especially for our 2020 grads. So wanted to share with you all that we are actively recruiting for fall 2020 new grads in software engineering. So if you are interested, please apply directly on our careers website. I've also included our email if you have any questions, and I'll drop it in the chat as well. And we also offer internship opportunities at Roblox. We have an awesome program that runs every summer, and we offer roles in engineering and product. So we'll begin recruiting for next year's program this fall. So just make sure to check back on our careers site for our job postings. The other thing I wanted to share with you, if you don't mind hitting the next slide, Klaus. I know we were only able to spend an hour with you all, but would love to stay connected. So if you haven't already, please follow us on our social media channels. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Glassdoor, Twitter, all the channels. And really wanted to say thank you everyone for joining us. It's a huge honor to partner with URX this year, and best of luck to you all this summer. We can't wait to see what you all will build with your careers. So with that, I'll pass it back to Shar, who's going to wrap us up today.
Awesome. Well, oh my gosh, such a great session. I have a little one who's obsessed with Roblox, literally downstairs playing Roblox. So she actually came up here to take a look at the session when she heard some of the keywords, which is hilarious. But Jeannie, Klaus, just wanted to say thank you so much on behalf of URX for hosting the session for our students. To all of the students, we just wanted to remind you that there is a form for you to fill out that will be emailed to all of you. If you want your information shared to Jeannie, please fill out that form. We'll also be sending the link for next week's session, which is a behavioral interview workshop with head of UR, Corey Twitty. And then really great news, wanted to congratulate Joel Montano, who won our resume review session. So as a reminder for anybody who does want to win a resume review session with one of our employer partners, be sure to pre-register and we'll be picking out winners. Okay. Well, with that, again, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you here next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Everyone, have a great
Bye,
summer.
everyone. Thanks. Bye.